Well, hello and welcome to this week's episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. I'm your host, Chris Greene, Director of Network Expansion for Avoya Travel. Thank you so much for your time, for tuning in today. Well, we have a great show lined up as we get a chance to spotlight our last Avoya Network Agency of the Year. Hard to believe that's a true statement, but it is. In our exclusive Meet the Network segment today, we'll be chatting with Alex Lopez, owner of Next Level Travel LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Network. Alex is an amazing business owner, and one of the topics I can't wait to discuss is the power of specialization. If you've seen any of the promotional material about today's show, you know Alex is a whiz with Virgin Voyages, and we can't wait to pick his brain about that and other exciting topics. Alex will be joining us here in just a moment. We're also going to take a second to highlight Avoya promotions, including our ongoing discount for active and retired military members and their spouses. We'll have the latest information on the travel agent education powered by Avoya platform, going strong into year number two, I should say. We'll take a moment to share details about that amazing resource exclusively offered to those in the Avoya network, and we'll wrap up the big show today by highlighting our social media contacts and all the ways that you can reach out and start the process to affiliate and be part of the Avoya Travel Network. So let's kick it off. Get right to it. This week's episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. In my opinion, no doubt about it, the heart and soul of Avoya Travel is the Avoya Network. They do all the selling under the Avoya Travel banner. As those that work for the company, myself, Annabella, who's producing our segment today, all of the employees of Avoya Travel, well, we don't directly sell travel. We only support the network with the industry's top resources like live leads, amazing technology, the industry's leading professional development programs, marketing, agent support, amazing relationships with the vendors. So when we get a chance to feature a great affiliate in the Avoya network, we jump at the chance. And that's the case today as we're excited to have our last Meet the Network feature of the year. So please help me welcome our featured Meet the Network guest this week, Alex Lopez, again, owner of Next Level Travel LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Network. Alex, so great to have you on the show today.
Hi, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Alex, before we get too far into our interview, can you give us a little bit about your personal background, how you got into the travel industry and ended up being a part of the Avoya Network?
Sure, Chris. So I joined the Avoya Network last September. At the time, I was still working my former profession, which was in management in the automotive industry. I spent about 25 years in that space, mainly with General Motors. And I guess at the time, I was starting to feel the physical and emotional exhaustion and kind of started to seek something different that would kind of allow me to better balance my work and my personal life. So uh, travel was always kind of that tickle in the back of my mind. I just felt like that was a path where I could leverage my skills, my experience, and I just thought it would be a good fit. And I landed on Avoya Network.
Yeah, I think it's been a win-win, at least from our standpoint. We hope you feel the same way,
Yes.
so far. Let's talk a little bit about what you're saying, that love of travel, and where did that original source of inspiration come from? Did you travel a lot as a child, or where did that passion begin?
Yeah, it's funny. As a kid, we didn't travel a lot. Our vacations were spent mostly on road trips, visiting family, and we live in Texas, so it's a trek just to get to the other side of the state, around here. So that was really where we vacationed. If we had any time off of school or my parents had time off, we were going to visit family. And so there wasn't a whole lot of traveling, getting to know new places. But I think growing up, there was always a fear. I know in the Hispanic community, this is very big, where there is a fear of traveling. You don't. There's the unknown. Maybe you don't know what's going to happen on a plane, things like that. And so I kind of grew up a little bit feeling that way. But that changed when I got married. We took our first flight in 1999 for our honeymoon. My wife and I went to Cancun, and we stayed at the Grand Oasis Resort. And at the time, I didn't know anything about. I had no idea how to get a plane ticket. I didn't know how to book a resort, so I actually went to a travel agent in Austin back then. And the crazy thing is, they made it happen. I walked in without knowing anything, and I walked out with a whole travel package. The whole honeymoon was booked in the matter of like an hour and a half. And after we took that trip, I think that's when I was hooked, and really I haven't stopped since.
That's a fantastic story. And my wife and I got married in '99 as well. So good year for finding the love of our lives,
Yeah, it
right?
sure is.
Tell me a
Yeah,
little
for
bit
real.
about
Yeah.
your agency, Alex, Next Level Travel LLC, and some of your focuses and the types of clients that you normally work with.
Yeah, sure. So Next Level Travel is a small agency. Like I said, we just started last September. I'm based just outside of Austin. So I have a great area where, there's just a lot of people and a lot of great people who like to travel. And so I think that helps me a lot. It was just me for a while. My wife, Beth, just joined our agency in August. She's still working full time, but we're working on getting her kind of trained and up to speed in the agency. But uh, I focus mostly on ocean cruises. That's kind of been my focus for the last year. But referrals and word of mouth from those cruises that have kind of gone out have really branched me out into other things, especially land. I've done a lot of Europe and a lot of Disney here in the last 3 months, and all of those have been from referrals. And so I really like my clientele. I'm very customer focused, so I think that helps me a lot in those referrals.
One of the things I talked about in my open in our promotion for your appearance today is how you've really found a successful niche as one of the top sellers of Virgin Voyages, at least in the Avoya Network, I think actually for Virgin overall. Tell me a little bit about how that came about and why that specialty just works so well for you.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, Virgin is great. I mean, it's I don't mean this in a different way, but they're an easy sell, and I don't mean by easy like anybody just picks it up. But I think when you look at the product and you look at the awards that they've won this year, especially, I mean, they're sweeping these awards. I think that you see that it's a product that people want to try, and that's what I mean by it being an easy sell. When people get when I get them on the phone and we talk about it, and they ask questions and we talk about it, I think that all the product that they have is what makes it easy to sell, because they are so great. But I think part of it is we kind of grew together. When I first started, they were first starting to sell. They only had a few shipped out, so we kind of understood each other. They were kind of new to the space, trying to figure things out. I was new to it, trying to figure things out, and I think that helped both of us. And then once I sailed, I noticed that I'm kind of their demographic, so it was easy to become very passionate about them. So, uh, Virgin and I have just we've become a great uh, partner together.
One of the follow-ups, I've got a couple of them for you, Alex, but one of the follow-ups I'm curious about is that are you finding that most of the clients that you reach, that you talk to that are really interested in Virgin are people who have cruised already, or are you seeing a lot of people that Virgin is their first experience with a cruise? I'm kind of curious about that.
I'd say most of it is, I'd say it's probably about 80-20, maybe 75-25 of people who have sailed is it's heavier on those. Um, they love sailing, a lot of them, and they want to try something different. They want a new product. They want something that's not the same, and not that these other cruise lines are all identical, but a lot of them are very similar. They have the big, a dining area that everybody kind of congregates, little things like that. Sure, they have their little restaurants that you may be able to go to, but Virgin is very different when it comes to that. They don't have a big dining, and I think that attracts a lot of people. And I think that if they do want to try something different, on sailed. Now, the ones who have not sailed, a lot of them have come to me and said they never wanted to sail, but then when I see Virgin's product, I want to, or at least I want to give it a try. And so they've been really good at being able to bring those that haven't sailed before into the product as well. And I think that's really helpful.
That's a definitely exciting thing. One more follow up on the topic of
Mhm.
Virgin Voyages and your success. Do you think, Alex, that the resources that are offered to the Avoya network has made it easier for you to specialize in a Virgin like vendor like Virgin Voyages, and maybe some of the resources that you find maybe make that so?
Definitely. Like I mentioned, people have a lot of questions about Virgin Voyages, and that's what makes it entices people to reach out to somebody. A lot of times when they're looking at a Carnival cruise or a Royal, they can go to the website. almost all their questions are answered there. And it's pretty basic. They've been around for a while. There's a lot of places out there, resources to be able to get information. Um, but Virgin, there's not a lot of resources because they are so new. And being able to have the live leads from Avoya that are out there because people want these questions answered. So I think that creates a lot of leads, a lot of live leads with Avoya because they want these questions answered. So I think that helps, obviously, the live leads. And then little things like the Avoya exclusive $100 onboard credit. That's something that we've run for a while, for a few months with Virgin, and being able to have that $100 onboard credit, I've closed so many leads using that credit.
That's a great win-win then for sure. Alex, here we are, the last month of 2023, which is kind of the year's just blown by, in my opinion. And wave season starts up here in just a few weeks. And for those that are new to the industry, wave season consists of like the first 3 or 4 months of the year where a good portion of agent sales happen. I'm guessing the Alex Lopez of 2023 is viewing what's coming down the pipe a little bit differently than Alex did last year when you were so brand new to the industry.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like this is my first real wave season. I kind of just chugged along last year, kind of took it all in, figured out what I needed to do, what I didn't need to do. But I guess your question, what am I doing to prepare? Actually, I'm first of all, I'm taking a little time off. I actually fly out tomorrow to Melbourne to get on the Resilient Lady, so I am doing that. I'm taking a little time because I know that it's going to be busy. So I am taking that time off to be able to spend time with my wife and have a little me time there for a little bit. But then after that, we're ready to go. Like I mentioned, my wife is coming on board to the agency, so she's been finishing a lot of her working on her specialties, trying to get those kind of lined out so that she's ready for the wave season. And then we both work on our agency social media, so we've been really growing that because I do plan on using that extensively to advertise on these wave offers. And so it's just really trying to be prepared. And coming from the car business, there are some things that I think I do maybe a little unconventionally that we used to do in the car business a little bit. And one of those is really taking these leads, whether they're Avoya leads or leads that I got somewhere else, and reworking those, maybe matching them up with new wave offers that are coming. And as the year ends, I have a pretty good client list, and they're all going to get a new wave offer.
Yeah, that's exciting, and it's certainly smart business on your part. We're chatting with Alex Lopez, owner of Next Level Travel LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Network. Alex is our featured Meet the Network guest this week, very kind to give us time. Alex, when you did your research on what host agency you thought would work best for launching your new agency, can you walk us through some of the steps that you took and what advice you might offer to somebody new that maybe they're in that same boat right now, kind of in that research phase?
Yeah, sure. So, I think what I did the most, because I'll be honest with you, I researched travel for almost a year. Actually, I was researching it before COVID, and then that happened, and I said, well, maybe it's not the best time to kind of get into it. Before the pandemic, I kind of was doing. Really, it took me 2.5 years, 3 years to land on the Avoya network, and this whole time, I was kind of trying to learn as much as I could about the travel space. And I Googled, I read, I spent a lot of time on there's host agency review websites, and honestly, what I took from those, like I said earlier, I was really looking for a partner in this space because I felt like I wanted a partner to be there next to me, not just to have a host agent. And when I read these reviews on the host agency review sites, that's what I focused on. What did they have to offer that would be a partner to me? And it wasn't necessarily where do they rank on these sites, because obviously those are, it's hard to really rank something based on somebody else's information. But I ranked them myself. I took that information and I made my own ranking. And every time I did that, Avoya, they always came out on top. And that really made the decision easy for me. And then things like this webinar, the gold award winning on deck with Avoya, these programs, things like this also helped me make that decision.
Thank you so much, Alex. We're glad that it's
Yeah.
a resource that was able to bring somebody like Avoya Travel and yourself and your passion and your business acumen to the same table so that we could create what we brag about, which is a shared success, business model and relationship. So glad to hear on the back end how successful that can be. When you take a look at your individual skill set, you look at your agency, what are some of the areas of strength that you think you have and your agency has that helps you become a successful agent so far?
I brought a lot of experience with me in sales. Like I mentioned, I was 25 years in the car business. So early on in that business, I learned that some of the important skills were things like communication, good customer service, um, organization, time management, even being persistent, and just having an enthusiasm and passion about the product that we're trying to sell. And having that comes with product knowledge, which is very, very important in the travel industry. Um, whenever a new model would come out, we'd have days and days of training for a vehicle that we wanted to learn everything we could about it. Because when we got somebody in there to do a test drive or something, we wanted to be able to show them every feature that car had. So I feel it's the same way in travel. Um, Being able to experience product, being able to visit a resort, being able to sell on a ship, that product knowledge really, really helps. Um, and I also had of going to the Avoya conference last year or this year that we went to in Alaska on the Princess Discovery Princess. And there I met so many wonderful agents, so many suppliers, so many Avoya employees that were great connections for me. Being able to make those connections with other Avoya agents and employees of Avoya, and those really helped me to learn things that I may have never known. These seasoned agents that have been doing it for a long time, they helped me to really kind of change a little bit of the way I view things, because I was viewing them sometimes in a different way. But having that ability really, really helped me to do that as well. So that was a great product that I was able to attend.
I'm going to hit you with a question that's a little offbeat just because I thought of it.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of friends that were in the car business for a long time. And I always hear this parallel sometimes between the car business and the travel business, and that somebody will say, "Oh, I got nothing but a bunch of tire kickers." As somebody that sold cars for a long time, what's your concept on tire kickers? Because I know some of my friends in the business are like, give me a lot full of tire kickers, and guess what? Someone's driving off that lot with a new car today.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. An up is an up. I mean, we always used to say that, and then up basically is just a lead, and a lead is a lead, regardless if they buy today. Like we mentioned earlier about preparing for wave season, um, what we had to offer 6 months ago that somebody may have been quote unquote a tire kicker, uh, they need to be ready to go when there's a wave offer that just matches perfectly with them. And that's the same way the car business is. You have to be persistent. I think that's one of the things I kind of said when I talked about skills, having that persistence and having a good attitude, regardless of, I mean, you got to learn to take the no's. You got to learn to grab those no's and do something positive with them. And doing something positive would be keeping in touch with them, even if it's just saying, hey, reaching out. I know we talked about a cruise. This is what's happening. Wave season is coming up. Do you want to keep you in mind? And that's not even offering them something. That's just letting them know that you're gonna be in contact soon, and that starts that ball rolling again. And that lead is never lost. To me, the lead is never lost. And then there's repeat business on top of that. So I've never no's have never hurt me. Really persistent, having good communication, organization. You create that good relationship with that client, and that's what's very, very important.
Every salesperson, no matter what they sell, Alex, should have that phrasing above their desk. No's have never hurt me. I love how you phrase that. What about when you get a chance to get out of the office? What kind of things does Alex like to do for fun?
I love watching movies. So we go to the movies a lot. That's one thing that we've always done. My whole family, it's something that we really connect with. We spend a lot of time with our friends. I love a good dinner, so obviously that's always been there. And honestly, what de-stresses me is I love shooting guns. I go out and there's a ski place down the road, target shot place, and I'll just go over there, spend an hour or two, and just shoot clay pigeons. That de-stresses me a lot too. So that's one thing I love to do.
That sounds like a fun hobby. So you already kind of gave it away a little bit, but I always love to find
Yeah.
out if there's any fun travel adventures coming your way. But what's this? You're headed out, what, tomorrow for Australia?
Yeah, I do. I head out tomorrow. I won this trip with Virgin Voyages, as a matter of fact, and they're taking me to Australia, and I'm getting to be on the Resilient Lady on their Australian Mermaiden, their first actual sailing that's going to leave out of Australia. So I feel like that's probably going to jump to the top of my list of trips. I've always wanted to go to Australia, and I love animals, and there's animals down there that I've never seen. So I'm really excited.
That sounds pretty slick. What about things that now we know you're going to knock this one off the list, but what are some of the places that you would hope to visit one day? What's the top of your bucket list look like?
Wow. I'd say the top of my list is I would like to get kind of to Thailand is on my list. And I want to say that probably at the top, and then Japan. I really would kind of like to get into those countries down there a little bit and spend some time there. I love to travel to eat, and it's one of the reasons I like to travel. And there's so much good, Thai food, Japanese food, so those put them at the top of my list for sure.
For sure, absolutely. Do you view the idea of going on a vacation through like a different set of lenses now, Alex, than you did before you were a travel professional?
Oh yeah, definitely. My mind is always working. Wherever I'm at, I'm always thinking about my business and travel, and and if I'm somewhere and I see something that just takes my breath away, I think people need to see this. So I think my followers would love this if I post it. So that number one is always on my mind, no matter where I'm at. Taking care of my social media, but then also wondering how my client would feel about this experience. Whether I'm on a ship, whether I'm visiting a city or doing things. Was it a good experience? Was it a bad experience? What would they like? What wouldn't they like? And I feel like I'm always making mental notes as I'm doing that. And part of that is because I see myself as the professional whenever I am working with my clients, and I'd like to have that kind of information. So I'm constantly trying to observe and learn new things as I'm out.
Alex, we just a few questions left today before we wrap up. We certainly appreciate your time and your great insights. What are you hearing from clients right now about their excitement level for 2024? Are they excited? Is there any apprehension? I mean, what's the word on the street right now, my friend?
I feel that like for the last month or so, people were really worried about stuff that was going around the world. There obviously are a lot of things happening right now. And I think that had some people kind of pushing pause on travel for a little bit, just kind of waiting to see how things kind of worked out. But outside of that, I think people are ready to travel. The excitement is big. I think 2024 is really going to be big.
Cool. So the final question, and we ask everybody who is a guest on our show. We've done this now for 3 years, so we're excited to ask you as well. Give us your thoughts and your excitement level about the future of leisure travel and kind of what brings you to that conclusion.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've had many clients booking big bucket list type travel for 2024 and into 2025. And that seems like being a big trend. I think people they're like, I really want to do something that I've always wanted to do. And that trend just seems to continue and continue. And I think the further we get away from the pandemic, that's really giving people the confidence to travel again. And so I'm really excited about what's to come.
Alex Lopez, everyone, owner of Next Level Travel LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Network. Alex, thank you again for that great discussion, for your time, for being a wonderful member of the Avoya Network. Have a blast in Australia, and we just loved having you on Deck with Avoya.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Next week, we're excited to spotlight our last vendor of the year in an exclusive Meet the Industry segment with Chris Anderson, Vice President of Strategic Sales for MSC Cruises USA. This is going to be a high-energy, great discussion. I promise you that. One of the top companies sailing the world. That's next Thursday on Deck with Avoya. All of our normal channels at all of our normal times. Hey, we want to spotlight really quick our ongoing military promotion. We are very proud to have this relationship with the military and those that have served and do serve our country. It's for veterans, their spouses, both active and retired. You can reach out to avoyanetwork.com. There's information there. Get connected with somebody on my team, one of the affiliation specialists. More than happy to go over the details, help you get that $100 off the education if you're new to the industry. $100 off for joining the Avoya Network as well. Again, avoyanetwork.com has a ton of information. Speaking of the travel education, it really is the smartest, no doubt about it, foundational laying thing you can do. The travel agent education powered by Avoya. We had Gina on last week for the big 1-year celebration. Earned 50% more in 2024. This is an award-winning dynamic program. It's self-paced. The format is both written and in audio, so you can kind of do both or whatever works for you. It includes that great certification. Again, there's a discount off of affiliating with the Avoya Network. We've got that veterans discount. Reach out. Think Pro. I think that's the best way to do it. All the details available, again, at avoyanetwork.com. And then once you join the network, you can take advantage of the great best-in-class resources that Alex Lopez and I were just discussing. He mentioned the live leads, Agent Power, the technology that kind of powers all of it, the amazing Marketing Resource Center, our agency support, the relationships with the vendors, top to bottom. Do your own research. Just like Alex said, every time he made a list, he didn't take the rankings there. He made his own rankings. And every time he did, Avoya Travel came out #1. There is a reason for that. We would love to tell you all about it and answer any of your questions. You can also follow us on social media. We're on all the cool places, including Instagram now. New videos every week. There's lots of cool things happening on our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel. So again, give us a follow at Avoya Travel Network on social media. And don't forget, again, I say it every week, avoyanetwork.com is the place to get the most information. We would love to connect you with somebody on my team, somebody in the travel agent education powered by Avoya platform team. Answer your questions, tell the Avoya story, and see if it's a good fit for you. You can always reach out to me personally. There's my email, chris.greene@avoyatravel.com, or pick up the phone and give me a call. I would love to have a chat with you. I appreciate your time as we do every week. Thank you to Alex Lopez again for that great discussion. Hope he has an amazing time in Australia. Sounds like a fantastic trip. Great job by Annabella producing today's segment. As always, she's just a wonderful professional. And thank you again for being part of On Deck with Avoya. Until next week, take care, my friend.